There's a lot of talk about disappointments and things we haven't gotten done. We're going to get a lot of them done, I might add.
President Biden trying to make the best of a week of epic failure and embarrassment. The White House now reeling after suffering one humiliating blow after another. The Supreme Court slapping down Biden's vax mandate. Inflation surging to the highest level in 40 years, while Biden's poll numbers are plummeting to record lows. And it gets worse. Biden getting called out by some in his own party for his unhinged voting rights speech in Atlanta that Stacey Abrams snubbed. Democrat Senator Kyrsten Sinema crushing his plan to kill the filibuster before it even got started. As far as the pandemic that Joe Biden promised to shut down, cases are hitting record highs. And that's just a small taste of the major setbacks. Press Secretary Jen Psaki spinning like she's never spun before to try to clean up the mess Biden's left behind.
President Biden promised to bring decades of D.C. experience to the Oval Office, but Build Back Better has not passed, voting rights apparently not going to pass, and vaccine requirements that he likes are apparently illegal. What happened?
Look back at last year and what we were able to accomplish. That include getting the American Rescue Plan passed. He also pressed, despite skeptics, to get a bipartisan infrastructure bill passed. The work of an administration continues after 1 year.
What happened to the guy who, when he was elected, said, to make progress, we must stop treating our opponents as our enemy?
He was not comparing them as humans. He was comparing the choice.
And the media that's tried to prop up and champion Biden every step of the way is now melting down over this week of incompetence. Listen.
President Joe Biden has had a very tough week.
I know they're never supposed to look at the poll numbers, but my goodness, every time I think the White House thought they've hit bottom, there seems to be a new bottom.
It is hard to think of them as anything other than right-wing ideologues. They should all just have right-wing talk radio shows. They are not justices in the great tradition of Supreme Court justices. They're just politicians.
Kyrsten Sinema did something that is extraordinary. She completely embarrassed, politically embarrassed, the leader of her own party, the sitting president of the United States.
And you know things have hit rock bottom when the Clintons are getting involved. Bill and Hillary are swooping in and now giving Joe Biden advice on what to do next. Dagan, if the Clintons come and offer you advice, I think it's a good idea to just maybe be careful.
Hillary Clinton wants Joe Biden's job.
Yeah.
If he takes advice from her, he is as dumb as we think he is. Here's my headline. A loss for Biden is a win for America. Think about this. So some of these setbacks this week will actually be great for the country and the economy, and maybe even by extension, Biden and company in the White House. The Supreme Court knocking down the vaccine mandate, well, it will help companies keep and hire workers. It will prevent the supply chain problems from getting worse and prop up the economy. Again, they wanted to throw wrenches into the works of our fine economic system. That's not going to happen. The Build Back Better monstrosity is dead. $5 trillion welfare program. That would have made inflation worse. So that helps the Federal Reserve fight inflation. And then keeping the filibuster intact means that the nation stays the course. It's good for the country. It's not far left or far right. But how bad is it for Joe Biden? Today, a group of Senate Democrats, including Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema, sent a letter to the White House wanting, and I'm going to paraphrase here, wanting to know what the hell is going on with the COVID response. It was written by Senator Jackie Rosen, but also John Ossoff and Mark Kelly signed it. I think it's the third letter from congressional Democrats this week. That $2 trillion plan that Jen Psaki was bragging about, less than 1% of it was for therapeutics to treat COVID. Instead, these people in the White House have been jawboning about masking, vaccines, and testing. And all three of those have been a failure. Yeah,
Brian, the new testing plan, they're going to have a website live on Wednesday. We'll be monitoring that. And then it's going to take up to maybe 12 days to ship the tests once you order it. 12 days. I mean, what are they? Is it carrier pigeon? How are they getting them to the homes, Brian?
Number one, what about ordering something today? I know you have a big weekend coming up and you'd like to go home to Delaware. Can someone fill out an invoice in that department and just order the test? We're not asking them to innovate the test, not asking them to even innovate the therapeutics, not asking them to innovate the vaccines. We're asking them to execute. Execute, because you said that you guys had all the experience. You know how to do this. You were 4 years prior. You had it for 8 years. This is basically the same group. You got Susan Rice. You got Ron Klain, who was helping the vice president last time. They've been friends for years. You got to fire everybody. You got to clean house. This is a flat-out disaster. And so I always say to myself, what is, for a Democrat, where do you go from here? So I'm thinking to myself, see if you can get some wins. The infrastructure deal was a win. When they both agree on Electoral College, decide that it's a problem when the vice president, whether it's Joe Biden or it's Mike Pence or it's Al Gore, when they have to go gavel in the official tally, it seems to be an issue. There seems to be blow-ups every time. So let's just forget about that. We both sides agree on that. Take that. And then I look down and I say, what did he talk about today? He talked about doing police reform. What? Police reform? We have these cities overrun with crime. In 2 blocks, we're going to be talking about carjacking 101. And now he's talking about police reform. You're going to crack down on cops? If there's anything that should be left on the side, it's that. And if I don't want to take Harold Ford's talking points, but you got to look for a thing you can get some wins on. So talk to Joe Manchin now. And Bill Clinton had great advice, by the way. Talk to Manchin, find out what he wants out of Build Back Better, and pass it. And the rest of the stuff, run on it. So you run on it next time, you want 4 more years, and you go ahead and say, I got some of Build Back Better, and instead of vilifying these moderates, include them in and say, this is the best I can do. And lastly, the worst thing to happen to Joe Biden, I think historians will write, is for him to invite those historians to the White House to talk about FDR and LBJ, and for him to win those 2 Senate seats in Georgia. It gave him the sense that he could do anything. Even though you think he knows reality, he can't do anything.
Well, I was going to go to Sandra next, but you just name-checked Harold Ford Jr. So, Harold Ford Jr., how bad is it? Is it bad or is it really bad?
So I think Brian's frame is the right one. You've got to, if you're in that White House now, and Dagan had a lot of good points, I would disagree with some of them, but I think the overall thrust is that it's not going well. So you got to reset your whole frame. When you're president, you have 2 jobs. Your first is your commander-in-chief. So you think about the geopolitical threats, China, Russia, North Korea, Iran, the challenges we face in our own hemisphere, obviously with the border, and obviously in the Middle East. And then you think about the domestic challenges, and we've had a few really emerge. COVID, obviously, the president won because of it. Crime, again, our border, and supply chains, the pressure it's creating on inflation and our economy. If I'm him, I sit back and say, what is it, to Brian's point, how do we create, within these thin majorities we have in the House and Senate, an agenda that's going to begin to address these concerns, frame those concerns, and frame them consistently, and I would argue constantly. We've had this conversation around the table before, and we all have very strong opinions about it, but I root for whomever the president is. We want COVID defeated. We want inflation tamed. We want our geopolitical adversaries to know that they can't push us around. So the president's got to reset, reframe, and if that means bringing new personnel around, he should consider that. I'm not sure that's what he has to do, but if he does, he should consider it, but he's got to get a frame, a set, and a reset, and go out and meet people where they are, the American people, and again, grab those wins that are easy wins in front of you, because one victory can produce another victory and another victory after that.
All right, well, Sandra, answer Harold Ford Jr.'s question. Does he need to fire anybody?
I don't know if he'll have to. I mean, can you imagine Jen Psaki wanting to stick around much longer after this? She's got a tough gig.
Yeah.
I mean, I woke up flipping the channels, hearing CNN saying Biden had a week from hell. John King, the country's frustrated. The headline on Axios was Biden's epic failures, in USA Today writing that Biden just had a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day, and it's going to get worse. I mean, Jesse, when you were going down the list of all his failures just this week alone, I checked them off so that I could go where you left off, and you left out. Inflation hitting its highest level since 1982. McConnell taking to the Senate floor to go after that speech he gave in Georgia on Tuesday where he was snubbed by Stacey Abrams. And he finished the week Thursday with that lunch on Capitol Hill, coming out to the microphone acknowledging that his voting legislation is unlikely to pass. I mean, it really couldn't have gotten worse. And I'll just leave off on this. Jen Psaki announced this morning that he's going to hold a formal press briefing on Wednesday, press conference, I should say, on Wednesday, the eve of the first year in office for this presidency. That's Thursday. That marks 1 year. What are they going to say? How do they spin this? And it's tough to really even guess what victories they are going to be able to tout on Wednesday. It's been a rough week. It's been a rough year. They better do a little bit of looking back to see where they can correct, because Hillary Clinton sees an opportunity.
Oh,
apparently.
Crooked is circling. The worst possible thing to have happen.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.